This channel is called You Should Know This. Most people aren't uninformed because they don't care. They're uninformed because things aren't explained clearly. This is where we slow things down, remove the noise, and explain what actually matters. You should know this. A lot of Americans believe the president controls everything. War, the economy, immigration, even their daily lives. When something big happens, the president is usually the face of it. Media coverage centers on speeches, executive orders, and dramatic moments. That makes it feel like one person is making all the decisions. Over time, that creates a simple story. If the country is doing well, it's because of the president. If things are going badly, it must also be the president. But that story leaves out something important. Many people think the president makes laws or controls federal spending. In reality, only Congress can pass laws and decide how money is spent. A president cannot create laws on their own. They also cannot allocate money without Congress approving it. Media attention adds to the confusion. Headlines focus on presidential actions that look powerful, even when those actions are limited by courts or Congress. And during moments of fear or crisis, power can feel unlimited. Presidents may act quickly using emergency authority, which gives the impression of total control. But even emergency powers exist inside laws, and those laws still include oversight and limits. The Constitution gives the president specific powers, not unlimited ones. The president serves as commander-in-chief of the military. They can sign or veto legislation passed by Congress. They appoint judges and officials, but most require Senate approval. They negotiate treaties, but the Senate must approve them. And they are responsible for enforcing the laws of the United States. Being the head of the executive branch means overseeing federal agencies. Departments like defense or state carry out laws already passed. What it does not mean is making laws. It does not mean spending money. Those powers belong to Congress. Executive orders often cause confusion. Legally, executive orders are instructions to federal agencies. They explain how existing laws should be carried out. They do not create new laws. Presidents have used executive orders since the founding of the country. Some issued only a few. Others issued hundreds. Franklin Roosevelt issued the most in history. Modern presidents from both parties have used them regularly. But executive orders have limits. They must be based on existing law or constitutional authority. Courts can strike them down. Congress can override them with legislation. Even here, the president does not act alone. History shows these limits in action. In 1952, President Truman issued an order to seize private steel mills during the Korean War. The Supreme Court blocked it, ruling that the president did not have the authority to take private property without Congress. The decision made clear that even during war, presidential power has boundaries. The U.S. system was designed to prevent one person from holding too much power. Congress has several tools to limit the president. It can override vetoes with enough votes. It can approve or reject appointments. It controls federal spending. And it can impeach and remove a president for serious misconduct. The courts provide another check. Federal courts can review presidential actions. If an action violates the Constitution or federal law, courts can block it. Courts have repeatedly stopped presidents when authority went too far. Presidents from different parties have seen executive actions blocked when they exceeded statutory or constitutional limits. These rulings reinforce that presidential power depends on law, not urgency, popularity, or crisis. There are historical examples of this happening. In one case during the Korean War, the Supreme Court stopped a president from seizing private industry because the president lacked legal authority to do so. Impeachment exists as a safeguard, but it is difficult in practice. Only a few presidents in U.S. history have been impeached. Removal requires strong political agreement, which is rare. This system was designed to be slow on purpose. The founders believed speed was dangerous when power was involved. Delays, debate, and friction were meant to protect the country from hasty decisions and concentrated authority. Not all limits on power are written into law. Some limits exist because leaders historically agreed to follow them. These are called political norms. Norms include things like accepting election results, not interfering in investigations, and respecting independent agencies. Norms are not enforced by courts. They are enforced by tradition and expectation. That means breaking a norm may not be illegal, but it can still change how power works. When norms erode, power can expand in practice without any law being changed. This often leads to more lawsuits, more conflict between branches, and more confusion about where boundaries are. Disagreements about presidential power often miss each other. The public often reacts to what feels powerful in the moment, while legal scholars focus on what authority is actually written into law. Headlines can make authority look absolute even when it isn't. Legal authority comes from written law. Precedent comes from past behavior. Precedent can be challenged or undone. When people misunderstand this difference, accountability becomes weaker. Confusion benefits anyone who wants more power, because unclear limits are easier to push. A democracy depends on people understanding not just who has power, but where that power stops. Democracies rarely lose limits all at once. More often, power expands slowly, through emergencies, through exceptions, through norms that stop being respected. Assuming someone else is watching creates risk, because if no one understands the limits, no one defends them. Public understanding matters, not because everyone agrees, but because limits only work when people know they exist. Rights are rarely taken in one moment. They fade when boundaries become unclear. And that's why understanding power isn't political. It's protective. Disagreements about presidential power often miss each other. The public often reacts to what feels powerful in the moment, while legal scholars focus on what authority is actually written into law. Headlines can make authority look absolute even when it isn't. Legal authority comes from written law. Precedent comes from past behavior. Precedent can be challenged or undone. When people misunderstand this difference, accountability becomes weaker. Confusion benefits anyone who wants more power, because unclear limits are easier to push. A democracy depends on people understanding not just who has power, but where that power stops. Democracies rarely lose limits all at once. More often, power expands slowly, through emergencies, through exceptions, through norms that stop being respected. Assuming someone else is watching creates risk, because if no one understands the limits, no one defends them. Public understanding matters, not because everyone agrees, but because limits only work when people know they exist. Rights are rarely taken in one moment. They fade when boundaries become unclear. And that's why understanding power isn't political. It's protective.